So, excuse me. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Art 192, which is Photoshop / digital imaging. It's offered this right now in the fall of 2021. So today, my lecture will be basically an orientation, just to let you know where things are on the websites that we use, be both my personal website and Canvas. So where to find everything, what to expect from me, from the class. And if at the end or anytime you have questions, please just put them up in the chat and let me know. So let's start with my personal website. Personal website you can get to by going to kmart66.com. Okay. And where you will want to spend most of your time is where it says Kirk's classes. So let's go there first. And I'm going to show you a handful of examples that are from the Photoshop class. So you can see what kinds of projects that I give. Not to get too far ahead of myself, we will be doing both lessons from the textbook and assignments, which I think are equivalent to a test. I don't give written exams or quizzes or anything. We do lessons from the textbook for which you will be responsible to turn in, and also assignments. So let's look at the assignments, because I think those are the fun part of the class. The lessons basically are a cookbook version of Photoshop that give you step-by-step instructions of how to use certain tools and techniques in Photoshop. So let's start by going to that. Under Kirk's classes, I'll go to Kirk's classes so we can see some samples of student work. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and let's look at the first one right here. So one of the first projects that I've given in the past, and it will depend on you, you guys will have a choice, is to do what I call a selfie photobomb assignment. And what it involves is taking an image from the news or from your personal collection of photographs, and also taking a photograph of yourself and inserting yourself into that photograph that includes a famous person. So here's one that Alberto Venegas, I'm sorry, did a couple of semesters back when he found an image of President Bush during Easter, and he has his little rabbit ears up behind him. So, you know, the challenge will be to be able to take a decent photograph of yourself to match the lighting and coloration of the photograph that you're trying to combine it with, and insert yourself seamlessly into the other photograph. So that's one of them. There's another one that we have, which will be a postcard assignment. It's will be another option for you to do either the selfie photobomb assignment or the postcard assignment. Anyway, this is another example that Sarah Lee did of the selfie photobomb assignment, where she took a still from the Sherlock Holmes movie. Okay, and inserted herself into it. She did really a super job. Matched the lighting, matched the color. Couldn't tell. It's a really dynamite job. This is another one that Brandon Gonzalez did, with Trump staring at the eclipse of the sun. And here is one example I have of kind of by Henry Juarez of kind of a satanic postcard. And again, the goal is if you look at my sheet, my handout, that's also on my website, you'll see that your goal is to take at least 4 different images and combine them into one seamlessly. And that's what he's done here. So that's the only example that I have of the postcard assignment. Then after that, we get into movie posters. They're kind of reduced in size. They're 11 by 17, they're tabloid size. And in that particular assignment, you'll have to incorporate text, have to come up with a title design for your movie. It's a very specific kind of movie. It will be a movie that is, if you were to create the idea is that if you were to create a movie about your life story, what would that movie poster look like? Okay, what would the title be? What the images look like that you would use? And so on and so forth. So this is one that Isaac de la Cruz did. He was in a kind of a punk band, garage band. This does happen to be an image of himself. Okay. Another one here about family, Oscar Oaxaca did this. None of the image that he used are of himself, so it's a good example of solutions that you can arrive at without having to use, it can be a poster or an image about you, but it doesn't have to include an image of you. Okay. This one was a little bit more personal that Richard Mallory did, that he combined an illustration of himself with photographs and created a poster. This is done by an advanced student, Carlos Gill, and it's similar to the movie poster assignment in that it is a public service poster. And so the goal is to pick a public service of your choice. He chose global warming and did really a superb job with this, where he took images from the internet, which was just fine, but seamlessly combined them together to create kind of an image of Noah's Ark in New York City, with New York City being flooded. Really did a beautiful job. And he had to deal with the text and the caption as well. So it really works really beautifully. And then another option that we'll have later on will be the third assignment. There are a total of 4 assignments, by the way, is to do a digital painting. And I'm sorry, but I don't have many examples online here. This was done by Avery Ferruria, where she took a photograph and she turned it into a digital painting that looked like it could be done either with watercolor or acrylics. So it has an illustrative quality to it that I think was done really, really nicely. So that would be your third project. Another advanced, if you're wondering what advanced students do, the first project that I have them do is what I call the Invisible Man project, where you take a photograph, digitally erase any area that has flesh, skin tone, and make it look believable as if it's the Invisible Man standing there in front of you, or however. That's it. The final assignment that I don't put examples up here, that's fine. It's to do a retouch, restore, where you're to take an old photograph that you can find online, or it can be one from your family album. And your job will be to retouch / restore that photograph to as good, if not better condition than the original. Okay, so those are the 4 assignments, and you'll have options in there, so you're not tied to any single solution. I hope that there's enough creative freedom in each of them, with the exception of the last one, so you can have some fun with them. Where you will go most of the time to know what we're doing what needs to be done, that sort of thing. When projects are due, what projects we're working on. If you want to save all the projects till the end, that's your choice. I don't recommend doing that. But it will be in the weekly syllabi page that I have here. So if I scroll down and we find your class, Art 192, Photoshop, Digital Imaging, you'll see that on Monday and Wednesday, here's the link to the webinar. And those of you who are here, I believe you've already found that link. I will give you the topic of that day's webinar. If there's anybody here, if there is no one here, then I won't record. But if there is someone here, then I will cover the topic for the day and make the video recording available on my YouTube channel. So you can see, here's the orientation. That's what we're doing today. The assignment is to purchase textbook and materials. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to give you a tour of Adobe Photoshop, and your assignment will be to read lessons 1 and 2. For this particular class, a textbook is required. Now, I'm using the 2020 version. I checked out 2021. I have not received that textbook yet, but I looked online, and there are a handful of new features, but none really that significant. So actually, if you were to use probably the 2019 to 2018 version of this, it would be okay too. There really haven't been that many significant or major changes in Photoshop in the last several versions, and the textbooks for each of them are almost identical. Okay, so if you are interested in buying any one of the textbooks, you can see that if you hover over what I have here in this week in class and you click on it, it should take you to Amazon's paperback version of this. And if you want to buy a new one, a used one, or get a Kindle version, it's entirely up to you. So that's what's available here. Okay. So that's what I've made available to everybody. I'm going to go back here. Some other things that you'll need for the class. Since my class is being taught, made available only online, you're obviously going to need your own computer. You're going to need access to Photoshop, which I will talk about in just a second. You'll need a storage device and access to the internet because you'll be turning in your lessons and your assignments to me. I prefer on Google Drive, which I will talk about, but you could also upload them to Canvas as well if you wish. So important here to, oh, come on, there we go. Have access to my website, and specifically what I have here, my weekly syllabi. Now, in addition to that, I have some links over to the left here. There's a link to Adobe's website. There's a link to lynda.com, which I will talk about in a little bit. And there is a link to amazon.com for textbooks. You can buy your textbook if you wish from the student store. Amazon usually has some of the best prices, but it's entirely up to you. Now, to get access or to have get a subscription to Adobe Suite, the Adobe Photoshop and suite of software, there is a discounted rate available for students if you haven't gotten it yet. So where I recommend that you go is to go to collegebuys.org, and I have that link over here to the left. So I'll click here, show you where to go. Come on. A bit sluggish. There we go. So it's the Foundation for California Community Colleges. So it says shop now for students, for faculty, for colleges. You want to click here for students. Now they will require proof of you being a student in order to have access to this. So the first thing you need to do is determine the state. We're in California, it gives us only that option, and you submit and you select that you're a student. And then this is all of this, you know, they have discounts on laptops, on computer supplies, and iPhone accessories, and all sorts of stuff. The one that we are concerned with right here is the third one over top, top row. And it's Make It with a Creative Cloud. So this is the Adobe Creative Cloud. So if you click right here, it will take us and it will give us the options. There are basically two options here. You can get a semester license for $40, or you can get an annual 12-month license for $80. I don't think you will find a better price elsewhere. Maybe Adobe has adopted a new price category for you. I'm not sure whether they have or they haven't, but for quite a while now, this has been the best option. So that's what I would recommend. At least get the semester license so that you have access to not only Adobe, Photoshop, but if you're in any of my other classes like Dreamweaver, that sort of thing, you would have access to that software as well for the same price. It's all bundled together. Okay, so you definitely need that. So I'm going to go back, see if I can't go back, and let's go back again and again. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what I did. Never mind. Okay, so that's for the software. Other things that you'll need. As I said, I use Google Drive. I prefer that to Canvas, but if you want to use Canvas, you can. So what I'm asking all of you guys to do is to email me, and then the subject, put your name, Art 192, and also specify that in there that it is for that you want to get a link to or access to our shared Google Drive folder. So what that looks like, or how you get access to that, is that first you have to have, it's best if you have a Gmail account. I don't know that it's absolutely necessary, but it is very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to show you, bring this in here. So if I go to here, for example, that's not where I want to go. Let's go ahead here, because this is the account that I use for all of you. So here's my Gmail account, which is kirkmillerart@gmail.com. That's where you will send me your email anytime you want to get in touch with me. It's better than the Cerritos one. Then in order to, if you have never used Google Drive before, it's found under here under Google Apps. So once you're in your Gmail account, you click right here, scroll down, and here's Google Drive. Now, you'll see that I have just a whole ton of folders here. And some of you have already contacted me, and I've already added you. So if we look over to the left, you can see that it says shared with me. That's where you will see the folder that we have here, Art 192, and you will get either this one or this one, because there are two sections and you are in one or the other. So hopefully I will get it sorted out correctly, and you'll have access to one or the other. But you should find that folder over here under shared with me. Okay, once I have accepted you. Now, once you do go in here, let's look in this one here. And you can see that I've already added a few people here. And then if I hover over, you can see these are the members here that are part of this. And then what you will do, I should be able to add a folder for you. And then inside that folder, if you double click on it, I will add two more folders, one for assignments and one for lessons. As you complete the lessons in the book, and you will be responsible for lessons 1 through 14, you'll put them in here as original Photoshop files. Actually, it's less important that they're original Photoshop. If they're PDF files, that's fine. The assignments will go in here. These I would like as original Photoshop files so I can see your work, see all the layers, because when you turn it in as a PDF file, it collapses all the layers and that sort of thing. So if you've used adjustment layers or you combine them, I want to see how you've progressed from beginning to end. And that's where you'll put them here. Okay, so that's the folder that we'll have for our class. And then in addition to that, some of you that if you buy a used or an older textbook, it doesn't come with the lessons. So this is what I've done. I provided the lessons for you for the Photoshop CC 2020 textbook. So you'll be able to download this entire folder from here. So if I double click on this, you can see that once you have access to this folder, you'll have access to all of the lessons in here. So for example, if I were to open lesson 4, that folder. Here are the start files, here are the end files, and all the additional files that are required to do the lesson. Then you'll need the textbook for step-by-step instructions, or maybe you will be watching me, one of the two. Okay, so that's another reason why you'll need access to Google Drive, unless you purchased a textbook and gone to the website and gained access to the files yourself. But I'm making them available to you as well. Okay, are there any questions so far? If so, put your hand up in the chat or raise your hand and you're welcome to talk while I get to a few other things here. Let's see. That's that. Let's go back to, oh, yes. Let me go back to, no questions? Okay. Well, let me move this back up. And I'll bring that back down in a minute. Because one of the other things that I talked about in here is that to learn the basics of Photoshop, the textbook and the lessons and the assignments that I give you will be adequate. But if you really want to know more about Photoshop and its uses, what can be done with it, then another source that you might want is lynda.com. Although it's not called lynda.com anymore. Okay, but this will take you there. Where I want you to go, I think I need to, I'll add this link to it, but let me show you how you get to it. Normally it is $25 a month, but you don't need to spend $25 a month, because if you go to the LA County Library, go to LA, this is the link that I'll put in there, lacountylibrary.org. If you don't have a library card, it's easy enough to get one. You can get a new library card digitally, so get a digital library card. You will also need to get a PIN number in order to gain access to this. Okay. So once you have your LA County library card and you have your PIN number, then you'll have access to their digital library. And that's what we have here. The one that we're concerned about is LinkedIn Learning. It was formerly called lynda.com. And this is where they have any number of classes that are all video instructions, digital video instructions on any number of topics. Photoshop is a biggie. Illustrator, if you want to learn business courses, if you want to learn HTML, CSS, learn how to code. There's all sorts of classes that are available. They have thousands and thousands of videos available. And as I said, normally it's $25 a month, and it costs a little bit more to have access to their files. for the tutorials, but this includes all of those. So I have already logged in there. And if we look here, I put in the topic. I said, what's new in Photoshop 2021? And this is what popped up. There's a brand new class by Deke McClellan. He's been teaching these classes on lynda.com for years and years. He does a really good job. And, you know, here's enhanced cloud documents. Okay. Select and replace a sky. So he shows you how to do that. Advance, excuse me, in select and mask techniques. So that's the third thing. New neural filters, we can cover that. They're pretty straightforward. They're similar to some of the filters you might use in some programs that are available for your phone. Anyway, there's that. Live shape enhancements. Okay, I think Illustrator is a better tool for that. Patterns, and that's it. Just a handful of, you know, maybe 5 different things that are really minor changes. I guess they might consider the neural filters a major one, but they're nice, but absolutely not necessary in learning Photoshop. You can learn that in just a few minutes. So if you want, you can put in, as I said, any subject you want to find and create your own playlist. So say, I'll put a Dreamweaver. And you can see that there are 12 course results for that. If I were to put in Photoshop, you would see many, many more. So here's one, designing a first website in Dreamweaver, Dreamweaver CC Essential Training, Adobe Dream, it goes on and on and on. This is, you can spend your whole life just watching these videos if you were so inclined. But they are really, they're done really, really well and very helpful. And I think if the textbook and my lectures are not adequate or not helping you, then this would be another good source. Okay, so we have that. What else have we got here? Let's go to I'm going to go to Canvas real quick. So here's Canvas, and this is the roll call for what class? This is one of our Photoshop sections here. So I do post everything. When I grade, they are posted on Canvas. So a couple of different places that you can go to find out what assignments we have and when they're due. So for example, if you want to see what your grades are, you just go here, and there aren't any grades posted yet, so no one should be embarrassed or, okay. And you'll notice at the very top, here's the postcard assignment, and that could also be the Selfie Photobomb if you would choose to do that. Here's the movie poster, digital painting, final retouch, restore, and lessons. Well, here I have lessons 1 through 12. So I misspoke. We'll end at lesson 12. Roll call, I'll give you some bonus points for attending the webinars. If not, it's not a big deal. The way I grade these is that they are all, it's a point system and they're all graded equally. The postcard assignment is worth 10 points. The movie poster is 10 points. The painting is 10 points. And the final assignment is 10 points. So that's 40 points. And then we have, in addition to that, we have the lessons 1 through 12, and those collectively are worth 10 points. So if you've done all the lessons 1 through 12, you get 10 points, you get an A. For every lesson that is not completed, you get a point deduction. Okay. It is important that you do the lessons. They will give you knowledge of how to use the tools efficiently and effectively. But then to actually put your knowledge and your creative abilities to the test, that's what these assignments are for. Okay, and hopefully, because my background is from years ago when I was hired at Cerritos, was in commercial illustration. But for the past 30 plus years, I've been a conceptual artist. So I really don't have much, experience with illustration anymore, the commercial art world. But anyway, that's the way that I've geared my assignments, is pretty much the way a commercial illustrator might work. That's why the posters and the digital paintings and that sort of thing, although they could be, applied to fine art use as well. Okay, so this would be one place you might want to go. You might also want to go, if we go back to Art 192 again, that's for grades. If you want, you can look at, let's see, as I said, I don't give quizzes or anything, but the, oh, come on, where is it? I can't see. Assignments, there we go. So here they are listed this way. And where you will find them is here. But the links that you will, where they'll be, are actually back here. If we go under Kirk's classes and we go to the handouts page, and you scroll down to Art 192 and 192B, you'll see that here's the link to the postcard assignment. Here's the DVD or poster. So if we click here, a PDF file will pop up. Come on. My computer's starting to get sluggish here. I got too much going on here. Here's that Invisible Man project I was talking about, retouch, restore. Here's the digital painting. I don't have a handout for the Selfie Photobomb. So let's go back here again. Let's redo that. See if I can't pull it up. Anyway, this is where you will find all of the handouts as well. Okay. Come on. Let me try this one. Very sluggish. My apologies. That happens from time to time. There we go. So now it is. So if you're the first assignment to do the digital postcard, it's a composite image comprised of minimum 4 images, demonstrated command principles and lessons, exercise 1 through 6. And then here's part 1, part 2, pretty short, straightforward. You do not have to print. These were all designed before COVID. And so you just have to send me the image. But anyway, that's where you'll find those. Okay. Other things that I want to show you under the modules. If we go back to Canvas again, and we switch to modules, I tried to make all of my tutorials, the videos available here as well. And I have a collection of them now from a couple of semesters, so it doesn't really matter which ones you use. But if I go back down here, and let's find modules right here. Okay, so here's my orientation video. Here's lecture 1. Here's lesson 1, lecture 2. Okay, lesson 2, lecture 3. And here are the links to the video. So for example, if you wanted to see the orientation video that I did from before, you just click there and it will be, I just made it available on Canvas. So it looks the same as what we have going on right now. Okie doke. So you should have access to everything in modules on Canvas. The lessons that we have, the grades, the assignments and due dates should all be in multiple locations. So it should be pretty easy for you to have access to them. Okay. What else have we got going on here? So I'm going to pause for a minute. And let's go back. Oh, I'll normally don't do this, but I'll do it anyway today. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of my recent work. If you look at my website, so if we go back again to my website here and we go back to the home page, just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that I've been working on over the years, that if you want to see samples of old artwork that I've done that dates back maybe 30 years or so, you can click here. New work would be here, but then even newer work, I'm going to go ahead and pause that. Is where I want to show you is here. So there we go. This was during the last fall and winter. I worked on creating a virtual gallery for myself and put actual work that I have made in that virtual gallery. Now, I've exaggerated in some instances. For example, the chrome chair with my head replacing one of the legs is not 8-10 feet tall. It's actually just a few inches tall, and it's not made out of chrome. But the pieces that you see on the walls actually exist. These tiles actually exist. And this, I've never had the opportunity to install these pieces, but this is what it would look like if they were installed. The piece back here with these little stands that you see and the little figurines are an actual piece that has been installed in various locations. This is another example of a piece that I made in a 3D modeling program and printed it small, but I was kind of impressed by Paul McCarthy's work, not McCartney, but McCarthy's work, where he had done these Disney pieces that were actually oversized and sculpted in wood. So that's how I imagine these pieces. Here's some close-ups of these 3D printed pieces. Just other views. So, from kind of soup to nuts, from beginning to end, creating these, most of them in 3D modeling programs, printing them either in 2D or in 3D, and creating sculptures or two-dimensional pieces for them, and then coming back later when I was isolated for over a year and a half, and creating my own little virtual gallery for myself. So that's what I've been working on. So this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing for myself. Let me go ahead and pause real quick. I'm going to go ahead and pause. So if you have any questions about Google Drive, again, email me and we can try to make sure that it's set up. If you've never used it before, it is worthwhile learning how to use it. I know that Cerritos likes using Canvas. However, I know that many of you plan on transferring to a four-year college or university. And a former student of mine who, after she took my classes and a number of other classes in our area, went on to complete her degree at Cal State Long Beach. She said at Long Beach, this is the one that they prefer, using Google Drive to upload and share files. Because also in some classes, more advanced classes, they actually work on group projects and work on them together. And so everybody would have access to them. That's the one thing that I don't want you to do, though, is that when you will have access to other people's artwork, please don't touch it or change it or delete it. But I find Google to be more reliable than Canvas. So if, if need be, you can always go back to Canvas and you can upload your artwork. Now, I can show you, let me go back to my summer class here. So for some students have put their artwork in here. So if I look at, for example, at grades, and I look at an individual's work. So for example, if I were to come down to, let's look at Justin Martin Tyrell's project. If I go here, and I click here, and I look at speed grader, his project should show up. Okay, so here was his architectural detail for the summer. So if you upload your Photoshop files, this is an Illustrator file, I would see it just the same. But the difference being, I know that this is fine for a number of people, a number of instructors. In part though, why I have you upload your original file to Google Drive is that I can download that file and I can open it up and I can take a look at it and I can see how you have constructed your illustration. And that to me is important. Not only is the final product important, but the process by which you achieve that final product. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's why, another reason why I like Google Drive. So that's pretty much it for us today. Have about 45 minutes here that we've covered everything. I think I've covered it all. If I've missed anything, I'll cover it again on another day. Kirk's classes, handouts. Yeah, anytime you need to get in touch with me, just email me at Kirk Miller Art. If you forget, go to kmiller@cerritos.edu. I'm not in my office. I'm not on campus. So the office hours don't apply. Anytime you email me, I'll try to get back to you within a few hours, definitely within 24 hours. And resolve whatever issues or answer whatever questions that you have. Okay. Yeah, I'm not in my office anymore. So that's pretty much it. Might want to look at some other examples of student work from my other classes if they interest you. And that will be it for today. Okay. So if some of you are here on Monday or on Wednesday, and you want to watch me demonstrate and go through the tour of Adobe Photoshop, we can do that. Now, while I'm using the 2020 textbook, I'm using Adobe Photoshop 2021. So I can still show you the neural effects and things like that, those additional features. I just don't think that they're critical to learning Photoshop. I would rather you focus on the fundamentals of Photoshop so that you really get a handle on it. Photoshop, by the way, if you're not aware of it, was developed about 1991. And it was designed to retouch photographs. But over the years, it has become so much more. Another way that I work, that I try to emphasize, is that I try to make sure that I work in a non-destructive fashion. And what I mean by that is that I don't like stomping on anything that I've done. I like to be able to retrace my steps, to turn elements off, on, and without having to lose and having to restart from scratch. That's something that I learned years ago when I was a commercial illustrator in the early and mid 80s. As at that time, I used to illustrate And before, this is before computers, I would illustrate with airbrush and with acrylic. And when a client would come back to me and ask me to make a change, I had to make sure that I could do that without having to paint, start the painting all over again. And if you work efficiently and work in a smart fashion, smartly with a Photoshop, the same can be true. In fact, that's, I think, one of the advantages of working in digitally is that with the exception of your computer crashing, shouldn't be afraid of messing up, because you can always undo and always go back and make changes, especially if you've worked, the way I'm going to show you and the way that the textbook shows you. So that's pretty much it for today. This will be posted on YouTube for those people who were not able to attend. And again, I will be back here again at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. And if no one's here, no one's here. And if a couple of you are here and want to watch me, I will go through the demonstration. Okay, it's entirely up to you. Whatever works for you and your, how you learn best. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye. You guys are free to leave, and I look forward to seeing the work that you do this semester. Hopefully you'll get some really some nice pieces and that you have fun doing them. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording and say goodbye.